Hello all, welcome to another lesson of the Rook vs Pawns and Games. This lesson will cover the situations where the pawns reach the 7th rank. So we have two isolated pawns, but now the danger is they are able to reach the 7th rank at the same time. And if they do that, it's a loss for white. So basically, the pawns can beat the rook if they reach the 7th rank normally. Here is white to move, and there's no exception. So we try to approach our king. Of course, black can't move because the rook is cutting off the king, so we advance the pawn. Now, neither of the two possibilities, like approaching the king or attacking with the rook, will work. Let's see first approaching the king. We simply keep advancing the pawn. So now we are threatening to promote. Basically, there's only one move to stop it immediately. But now we just bring the king, the rook gives a check, I go in front. Now the other pawn is threatening to promote. Basically, the two pawns in the third rank are a win for black. So when white attacks one pawn, I simply support the other one. If black takes the h pawn, if white takes the h pawn, then I promote to the queen, and I have a winning queen versus rook in the game. I hope you have studied my masterclass on that. If you're not, I'll I'll suggest you study it a bit because, as you see, it can happen in many situations. But let's go back on this one first and see that okay. I approach my king, I advance the pawn, and now the rook attacks the pawn from behind. So what happened is now I'm going to bring the king so I can assure both pawns reach the 7th rank, and then when they reach both the 7th rank, they basically win alone. I won't need my king anymore. So here I support the pawn. Basically, white will try to check my king, but okay, there are more than one way to win this, but I'll just show one. Now I'm threatening to promote the h pawn, so the rook needs to go and take care of that threat. But now I simply come back with the king. The rook gives another check. I can go again for many approaches, but now a simple one is just let the pawns work alone. And when the rook gives the other check, then I can assure that the pawn will reach the 7th rank. Like when you see here, now I gave the two pawns on the 7th rank, and even the rook was already well positioned to control the h pawn. It's not enough because now I have two pawns threatening to promote, so a check is not enough. Of course, here I won't do the mistake of going down because otherwise the other pawn will be pinned and rook was able to save the day with a lucky move. But if I go normally, I will reach a point where the rook now needs to move away, but basically moving away is not enough. I get my queen, and I still have the other pawn, so this is going to be even faster. So basically, if the pawns reach the 7th rank, it's game over for rook. Let's move on to another position. In this position, black perspective, so the pawns now go up instead of down. It's black to play. If you notice, the pawns are a bit far away yet from the 7th rank, and at the same time, the white king is a bit closer. So this makes it harder for black to achieve the aim of winning the game. But with the precise approaching, it's still possible. So let's first see the normal move is to advance the pawn. Of course, now white needs to control that advance, so it attacks the pawn. And this is a critical moment. So I suggest if you want to pause the video and try to calculate for yourself what is the proper move. And if you have done it correctly, you have found that the winning move is to move king f2. So it stays close to the pawn, so guaranteeing not only that can reach the 7th rank, but also the promotion. And this is what's the key move. It's to guarantee also the promotion square. Because, for example, if I go back, now, if you notice, I can approach my king because I'm not going to give a check, allowing black to come back to the same place, and then I still have to control the pawn. And when I come back, then black can correct the mistake. So I'm not going to fall into that. So if black allows me to draw the game, I will do it. So I approach my king. Now, for example, black tries to advance the pawn. Notice that this will be also a mistake because when I attack the pawn to control the promotion square, this allows black to have the two pawns on the seventh rank, and then we just need to be careful. But the pawns will win almost alone, as we saw before. So first, very important, if black makes the mistake, I need to be precise to guarantee the draw. It's not an immediate draw. So intermediate check, another lesson we have, very important, to force black to go ahead of one pawn first, and only after I control the other. So this forces black to come back again, and again the same strategy. I give a check, forcing the black king to go in front of one pawn, and when it does that, I attack the other. So, and this stance will force black to not be able to progress. Okay, don't forget the intermediate check, or you give back the blunder to black. So here, only way to win is to guarantee the advancing of the pawns until the promotion. Of course, white will try to keep fighting that, giving a check. Now there are more than one way, but basically I can go in front of the pawn. Any pawn will work. What I don't want is to block my pawns. If you remember from this last mistake, that we were dancing with the king, forcing to go ahead of the pawn, and with that we attack the other, forcing the king come back, then we check, forcing it again, and so on. So it's exactly the same situation. If black makes the mistake of going in front of the pawn, this is the correct way to guarantee. I approach my king. Then when black tries to advance the other pawn, I attack it with the rook. And if, of course, the king tries to support the promotion, I give a check, and I can be here giving checks all the time or attacking the pawn. So this stance never ends. Black can't progress, and I get my draw. Don't forget this type of techniques if you are fighting against the pawns. But of course, if black knows what it's doing, it's going to go allowing this pawn to advance, so not blocking it. And this makes all the difference because, for example, if I attack the pawn, now it's a bit different because now I can advance the pawn, a thing I was not able to do before. And of course, if the rook takes the pawn, I simply come back with my king, and next move I will promote to queen. Okay, so here it's easy. If white tries to waste a tempo, like for example playing here, black can maneuver to advance the pawn. Like for example going here, then check, because we want to delay the more we can the advancing of the pawns, of course. Now black can go to the other side of the pawn, because why? We are threatening to promote to queen, and we are forced to give a check. Otherwise, for example, if I go here and for example I go attack the pawn, I simply promote, and then I am forced to play this position, which is lost, of course, for white. So here I am forced to give the check. Now we can go simply to the side, and when it gives another check, as you can see, the options for white are almost ending. And now I am still threatening to promote the pawn, and when I attack the pawn, I simply advance the other one. Both pawns reach the 7th rank, so now taking one just allows the other to promote again. Queen versus rook endgame, it's a win in this situation for black. Okay, let's but not the least, we have this exception scenario where both pawns already have reached the 7th rank, but if they are apart from each other by 4 squares, so 4 squares between them, this means that the rook can control both pawns and secure the draw without the need of the help of the king. So here the correct move is to go to the other pawn. Of course, black can't go to the 7th rank to support the pawn. Like, for example, if it goes here, I simply check it, and there's no way black is going to win this. So even if I take, it's a draw. So I have classified the move as a blunder, but it's not a blunder because the position it's already draw. But okay. If the king tries to go to support the other pawn, so here be careful, because a move like this one, this is really a blunder, because now white is lost. It can't control both the pawns now. So we simply move to the other side. So that's why it's important for them to be four squares away, with 4 squares away from each other, because otherwise the king can come, and it's not going to be possible to stop the win from the pawn. So this is the last position. I hope you have enjoyed this video and hope to see you in future lessons. Bye bye.